All right, so we have a host of things to go over, but really today we're just going to focus on this art project that's happening right now. And so I'm going to introduce a couple of folks who are relevant to this. But to start out with, basically, as our planning director, who's going to speak later, mentioned last weekend when we were here taking back control of the rail yards, we also have to document in a community-driven way where this space is now. Because our hope that as much as we're going to try and retain everything that we have to retain historically and also optically in that special way that it is what you see around us, we also have to make a lot of changes. And so we're working with our artists and folks in the community to essentially make this not only a community art project, but also a historic documentation project. And so that's what we're doing here today and tomorrow throughout a number of these facilities. Now, after basically a 6-year stalemate, as folks have heard, we are going to move forward on our own at the rail yards for now. And we did obviously end that contract with our master developer. And what we're going to do is basically a phase 0 and a phase 1 to ready the property for the next step. And while we're doing that, we're also going to reconvene the community, different stakeholders, and figure out what the long-term vision is. We're going to see who's interested in helping out and so forth. But we're going to do those two things in parallel at the same time. So there is going to be a lot of construction happening here over the winter and over the spring. But it's going to start with some landscape work, some parking work, and most importantly, I think, remediation with respect to environmental concerns that have been in here since the beginning. Now, this is meant to be an example of placemaking in Albuquerque. I believe that cities are really a collection of great places where people come together, and the degree to which those are connected to each other. And so that has to do with public transit, but it also has to do with ideas in the long term that we're looking at in terms of a rail corridor that might connect not only to our actual rail stops, but also to Innovate ABQ and a lot of the other projects that we're working on to the north of here. The rail yards also, I want to mention, of course, there's huge historical importance, and right now we have no plans at all to change anything that is protected historically. So in fact, we believe in retaining that. So I also want folks to know that's sort of the fair way that we want to work in, the flexibility given to us with respect to those historical standards, but not going outside of that. So that's the game plan for now, and again, we'll see where this project goes in step with the community. So for the next 2 days, we are granting special access to artists to this site to document where it stands now for future generations. And some of the artists standing with us here today, we have Janet Gagliano. I'm probably not pronouncing that right, maybe. Janet, good to see you. We also have William Bullers is here, and Norman Gagny. Is that also probably mispronounced? Okay, and Jessica Roybal. So we're so glad that you're here, and thank you for taking the opportunity. You know, this site was actually documented quite a bit when we first the last round of this about 7 years ago. And it hasn't changed that much, but the artists have changed, and also a lot of the folks in our community who've experienced this space. It's a different generation, literally. And so this hopefully is a way to document this special place for a whole new generation, both of artists and of folks who are going to enjoy the art that comes out of it. So overall, we do believe that this is Albuquerque's singular best chance at creating a literally statewide landmark that everyone knows about and enjoys and appreciates. Every city talks about what is the blank that can transform and we can be known for even statewide and even nationally. And it's abundantly clear we have two. We have the Bosque and we have the rail yards. And the Bosque is a whole other issue we can talk about at some other time, which certainly is amazing, but our best chance right now to create that nationally renowned place is right here in the rail yards. So to hear more about this, we're going to hear from our COO, Lawrence Rail. Lawrence?
Thanks, Mayor. This is really, oops, this is not working anyway. So this is really exciting. This building is an amazing building, and you can see why people are so excited about this redevelopment. As the mayor mentioned, the rail yards is an important project for the city, which is why he has tasked me to oversee the project as the chief operating officer for the city, to make sure that it gets the highest priority in the city's government structure, if you will. So I will be working with the staff to make sure that this project gets done. There are many aspects to this project that need to begin early. And let me just outline some of those, some of the work that we'll be doing. First of all, the environmental remediation of the site is really an important part of the future of the site. And so we are going to move forward with an environmental remediation plan. We're working hand in hand with the state of New Mexico so that we can ensure that we do this as required by the state and federal laws. But that really has been the biggest concern for the redevelopment of the facilities for many, many years. Secondly, we're looking obviously to make sure that we keep the buildings as well and in as good a shape as possible. That means that we need to make sure that we repair the roofs on some of the buildings. You all know that some of the other buildings aren't quite as in good shape as this one, and so we need to make sure that we at least repair the roofs so that we can stop any deterioration from the weather, etc. The other aspect of this is obviously looking at the utilities to the site, making sure that the water and sewer lines, that all the electrical lines and telecommunication lines, etc., to the site are adequate, so that as we begin to put this site out for redevelopment, that all that infrastructure is in place. And then obviously at the end of the day, there are some of these buildings that are not on the historical register that are probably going to be demolished because they are just not, they're not part of the historical, if you will, requirement of the state, and they're in such shape that they probably aren't going to be around for some time. As we move through that process, obviously we will keep the community, in particular this neighborhoods, informed and working through the Rail Yard Advisory Board that has been established to ensure that they are also kept in the loop as we move forward. We will continue to just update the community on the progress, and I think we've got a great team that's working with us, obviously, from the city, and the City Metropolitan Redevelopment Agency is going to take the lead in helping us move forward. And so to talk, however, about this particular event today is the Director of the Planning Department, Mr. Dave Campbell.
Thank you.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for being here. And I want to acknowledge at the outset some important people who are here with us. All of you are important, but we've got some folks who have given years, dedicated, sometimes most of their life to this. I want to acknowledge Liba Fried, the director of the Wheels Museum, who has been so intimately involved with this. Former State Senator Eric Griego is here with us today. Thank you very much, Councilor and Senator. And City Councilor Cynthia Borrego is here with us today, too. Thank you very much, Councilor, for your support. This is the city's opportunity to take the before pictures, because someday, very soon, we hope, we will be able to celebrate the after pictures, the ones that tell us how this place has been transformed. And that we're so fortunate to have not only the rail yards, but to have artists and photographers who will document this. We also want to acknowledge the role of the Albuquerque Public Arts Board, and Dorothy Sturmer is here with us. Dorothy, thank you for being with us, and thank you for your service on the Public Arts Board. The director of our Public Arts program, Sherry Brueggemann, is also here. Sherry has been running this. And her boss, Shel Sanchez, the director of cultural services for the city of Albuquerque. Very quickly, and I'll introduce my team in just a moment, but our initial phase of this is to increase security and prepare for the development of this site. So you will already see that many of the access points have been closed, the fences have been repaired, the security has been put in place. We're working on lighting and making the place secure so that we can work here and continue the redevelopment of the process. We are also preparing for the demolition of a few small buildings that are not included in the master plan and that are not historically significant. We are also working with the EPA, the New Mexico Environment Department, and local partners to remediate the property, remediating the soil, lead-based paint, and asbestos so that the site will be safe for the public. As the mayor mentioned, much of what we're doing here is in the name of placemaking, to create that place where Albuquerque can come together, can celebrate our history, and go forward into our future, and develop the kind of destination attraction that will attract not only from around Albuquerque, the state, but also the nation and world. There are also tight liaisons that we have with the neighborhoods. The Borealis Neighborhood Association and the South Broadway Neighborhood Associations have been partners throughout this in developing the master plan, and as we go forward, working together as community investors in this property. We also intend to have incremental developments of this site such that we will begin to work on a variety of different steps to bring it to fruition. We will be looking for private development, private investors, and others who want to contribute to this glorious 27-acre site. And so we will be reaching out, as we are continually reaching out, to private sector investors. Many of us are familiar with the saying, "Quien no sabe de donde viene, no sabe a donde va." If you don't know where you've been, you can't know where you're going. I just concluded reading the Rodolfo Anaya book about the heart of Aztlan and these buildings. And I highly recommend, if you want to know more about this history, even though it's fiction, it is a tremendously important volume to understand what went on in these places, both the glory and the very, very difficult work that happened in these places. They are historic, and they stand in memorial in many ways to those who worked here, who in fact gave their lives here in these buildings. So this is a place of celebration, it's a place to be honored, and a place to be preserved. I want to, again, thank all of you, and I want to thank my team in the Metropolitan Redevelopment Office and City of Albuquerque generally who were involved. Hold your applause, but Karen Iverson, Gabe Rivera, Matt Butkus, and Bart Ferris are here with our Metropolitan Redevelopment Office and with Environmental Health, who are really putting in a lot of time on this project. Please help me in thanking them. As I said, Artist Days at the Rail Yards are a project of the Planning Department as well as the Cultural Services Department, and the Cultural Services Department has been working on this through the Public Arts Program. I introduce to you now the leader of that group, Sherry Brueggemann. Sherry?
Thanks, everyone. I'll just give you a quick rundown of some of the facts and figures about this project. We had about 3 weeks to pull this together. We coordinated with 6 or 7 different city departments. We had 60 artists apply for 4 6-hour time slots on 2 days. This morning we had 20 artists arrive and thoroughly enjoyed themselves and be very, very inspired by all of these buildings. This afternoon and tomorrow we'll be hosting about another 40 artists. On Wednesday, the Albuquerque Arts Board approved a $20,000 purchase award recommendation to purchase works of art that are the outcome of this project, and they will be on display on a public exhibition sometime in early 2019. So we invite you to follow the City of Albuquerque Public Art Program, sign up for our newsletter, and you'll get notices about the next steps of what the artists are going to be doing and where you can see their works when they're complete. Thank you.
Okay, well, I think we're going to close out. What we'll do, if you have questions, feel free to talk to the relevant folks or me as well. And for now, we'll just say thank you and enjoy being in this space. Thanks.